Good day, everyone. Definitely in the home stretch here. What we're going to spend our next few days on is just reviewing what we've done over the semester. Next Thursday, I will leave you kind of a final test over a little bit of everything that we have done for those looking to, again, get a test grade, raise your grade. That would be next Thursday. So today's a little review on Module 5. Thursday will be a little review on the first half of 6. And then Tuesday of next week will be a review on the second half of 6. Thursday then would be a little test accumulating kind of everything we've done. The final week of, quote unquote school, e-learning, we won't have anything set new. It'll just be a makeup day. So if you're missing anything, if you want to still turn some stuff in, raising grades, making sure we don't get an incomplete, things like that, that's what that last week is going to be set for. Okay, so we'll go through this. I'll probably do one of each, leave you the others. We'll kind of jump around a little bit. I am going to make this kind of extra credit also. These little reviews here for, again, those who are looking to increase their grade a little bit. So if you look, this is Module 5. Is what we started this semester with. It was all of our geometry topics, how they all began. You'll see all the vocab up here. We're going to hit on all these things as we move along through, so we're not necessarily going to write all these out and define them. Just be familiar with them, know what they are when we move through. So 1 and 2 deal with the idea that the interior angles of a triangle always add up to be 180 degrees. So when we look at these, what we did, most of us had a pretty good handle on this. If we're going to do x, then 45 plus 59 plus x would have to add up to equal 180 degrees. So you could write that out if you wanted. We could turn this into an equation if you wanted. But what most of us just kind of understood is, let's subtract those two away from 180. Whatever the difference is has to be this angle here. And what we should end up with is 76 degrees. All right. 2 is an equation. This one you're just going to add everything up, where all of these have to add up to be 180. So you're going to get 3x plus 34. That's one of our angles, plus the x plus 22. Plus that 5x minus 2 has to equal 180 degrees. All right. And then just to leave you a little something to do, we can now go through, add up all of your like terms, solve this for x, and that will be your answer. All we're looking for is x in this case. If I wanted a certain angle, you would have to take that x value, plug it in, and evaluate it. But pretty much dealing with this idea here, insides angles of a triangle have to add up to be 180. 3 and 4 deal with the idea of exterior angles of a triangle. I'm actually going to do 4, because now as I get ready to do these, you'll see 4 are the ones that are a little bit harder, involve a little bit more work. But this is our triangle, and if you look, the angle here is your exterior angle. It's outside of the triangle. So same here. Here's our triangle. This angle here is the outside of the triangle. And what this was is the exterior angle, this 2x minus an 8, that is always equal to the sum of the opposite angles. So that would be this angle and this angle. So x plus 31, these two angles must equal that angle. Okay? So we can do that. Solve this equation. X minus an 8 equals 31. Add your 31 over. I'm sorry, add your 8 over, and then we should get that x to be 39. Once we know that's 39, then this is asking for angle EGH. So here is E to G to H. So it's asking you for this angle right in here. And then we can use the stuff above that all those angles have to add up to be a 180. So now we do have all the interior. So if we know this angle is now 39, then 39 plus 31 plus, let's call this guy Y, because that's the angle we're looking for, has to equal 180. All right. And again, just you have to do a little bit here, a little practice. Solve that for Y. That's going to be your answer right here. Okay. 5 and 6. I will leave you. Let me move this down. Yeah. I think you can do these. This is what we call the straight angle. So 76 and x have to add up to be 180. These two angles have to add up to be 180. So whenever we have a straight line, it's a 180-degree angle. All right, so add each of those up. You'll have a little equation to solve for. 7, 8, similar. We'll maybe do one, maybe the other. Bisect means we cut in half. So if you think about what the word bicycle means, it's because you have two wheels, so we're going to bisect the angle. So if this segment here, or this ray, bisects our angle, then what that means is this angle and this angle have to be equivalent to each other. So 8x would have to equal 65. That would then allow us to, let me use our calculator here, divide, find x to be 8.125. It's one of our answers, but then if we wanted each of these, angle ABT, we know is 65 degrees. Angle ABC is the big angle here. So once we know this is 65, this is also 65, we can add those up and get 130 degrees. Okay, 8's the same thing. You're going to bisect the angle. So this angle and this angle have to be equal. You're going to solve that equation and then solve for the x. All right, PT is 26. So that means from here to here, that has to total 26. And then you can see from here to here, 4x minus a 6. And from here to here, 6x plus 2, we would want to add those together. And when we add those together, we would get the entire line segment. And we know that has to be 26. So again, you have your x. We can now solve for this. So we would get 10x when we add like terms minus a 4 equals 26. Add the 4 over to the other side to get a 30. We see that our x is 3. So that's one of the things we wanted. And then now it's asking you, let's figure out each of these lengths. So if you let x be a 3 here, you get 4 times 3 is 12. Take away a 6. That's 6. If you let x be a 3 right here, you get 18 plus 2. That's 20. When we add those together, that's our 26 we were supposed to get. Okay. As in number 9, midpoint means we're just cutting it in half. So if this is directly in the middle, that means this segment must be equivalent to the other segments. All right, so these now are set equal. And then again, you can solve that pretty quickly and then just identify each of the three things that we're trying to find. All right, these, we had a pretty good handle on these. I'm going to guess we can do these. So again, just so you have to do a little bit of stuff here for a little bit of extra credit. I'm going to leave you these, but you're just going to identify, I'll do one, angle 3 and 7. So find angle 3 and 7. Notice how they're on the same side and they're both on the far left side. What we called these were corresponding angles. So as you look at all these pairs, you're just identifying what they are, and these are the options. All right, that I'm pretty confident we can do. When we came down here, we're going to use some of those words anyway. These are corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are congruent. So what that means is these two angles have to have the same degree measure. So we would set those equal to each other. And then we would solve that equation for x. So we'd subtract 2x, cancels here. We would then get just the 1x plus a 20. Add that 20 over, or subtract your 20 over, and then we should get x is equal to 20. Number 20, these are what we call same side interior angles. So here's our parallel lines. You remember, this is what we call a transversal. These opposite interior angles are also congruent. So those are also set equal to each other. And then we can solve for x. So corresponding angles here, alternate interior angles here, those are both congruent to each other. 21, here's our horizontal lines with the arrows, so here and here. Here's our transversal. These are on the same side, but they're both outside of our parallel lines. So these are same side exterior. Same side exterior are not congruent. They are supplementary. So supplementary means when we add them, so the 2x plus the 3x plus 40, they need to add up to be 180. That's how we can solve for x in this problem. Same with 22. Not only are same side exterior supplementary, they are also supplementary if we have same side interior. So these two angles you are given are same side interior. These guys are also supplementary. So that means, that we want to add these. So we take the 5x minus a 10, add it to the 8x minus a 5. That's got to equal 180 degrees. From there, we can solve for x, and you're set. 23. Here's our parallel lines. Notice how these two angles are both on the outside of those parallel lines, and they're on the opposite side of the transversal. So these are what we call opposites, because they're on opposite sides of this line, the transversal, but they're outside of those parallel lines. So these are opposite exterior angles. Opposite exterior angles are congruent. So that means you're going to take your 70, set it equal to 4x plus 10. 24. These are same side interior. I think we just did those, right? Yeah, so this problem here are similar. Those are on the same side of the transversal, and they're both inside of our parallel lines. These are supplementary. So same side interior are supplementary. So we add those two angles together. It's our first angle. This is the second angle. Supplementary means they add up to be 180 degrees. Solve that, and then we got our x. These actually cause a little bit of problems, so let's kind of review these definitions. AD is a median. A median comes from a vertex. So notice how this segment starts from a vertex, and median basically means the middle. So what that means is, as this comes in and intersects the side opposite of it, so this side right here, that median goes directly to the middle. So if this is the middle, let's say this was 20, which it's not, but oops, let me put the 20 here. If it was 20 and the median gets drawn in, that means this would have to be 10 and this would have to be 10. It basically cuts it in half, so that this segment here and this segment here have to be equal, have to be congruent. They have to have the same length. So using that information with the information that you were actually given, get rid of this now. What we were given is BD is x plus 3. dx or dc is 2x minus an 8. Those two segments are equal to each other. They have to have the same length. So we would set them equal to each other. We're looking for both x and the BD. So if I now solve this for x, so let's subtract x from both sides. So we get those to cancel. 3 would equal 1x minus an 8. Add your 8 over. That's our x value. And then the question is find BD. So here's B to D. We now know what our x is. So we can come here, get rid of our x, place it with what now we know x to be. That would then give us 14. If we wanted the whole length, then obviously it would be 28 because each of them is 14. So median cuts the opposite side in half. All right, so 26. Similar in the sense that E to C is your median. So we want to find the length of x, and then you're just going to find the length of A to B. So this is our median. That would have to mean that this length here and this length here have to be equivalent to each other. So we set them equal. Solve that equation. That'll give you your x. And then AB is now this full length. Once we know what x is, plug it in. We should be able to figure that out. So we subtract our 3x. So we get 6x minus a 10 equals 8. 6x is 18. Divide. Our x is a 3. And then now let's figure one of these out. So let's say I plug in a 3 right here. 3 times 3 is a 9, plus 8 should be 17. That means this is also 17. You can plug it in there as well. You get 27 minus 10 is 17. AB is this whole length. So AB would have to be 34. All right, altitude. Medians cut it in half. Altitudes come down, and when they intersect the opposite side, they form a 90-degree angle. So what that then tells us is this is also a 90-degree angle right here. So the 3x minus 12 must be equivalent to 90 degrees. So we take that angle, set it equal to 90. All you're doing in this one is solving for x. Do the little algebra there, get your x value, and should be good. All right, properties of parallelograms. Parallelograms, here's your parallel lines, right? Opposite sides are parallel. So this now acts as your transversal. So what we are dealing with here and here are same side interior. Same side interior we mentioned earlier are supplementary. So that means you're going to take 3x plus 7, 2x plus 3, add those together. They have to add up to be 180 degrees. All right. So if we do that, we get 5x plus 10 equals 180. Subtract your 10 over, get 5x equals 170. Divide 170 by 5, and that should give you 34. So now, know what that means. If I want angle C, opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent. So what I'm going to do is figure out what is this angle up here. So let x be a 34 up here. So 3 times 34 plus 7, 3 times 34 is 109 degrees. So we now know that this is 109 degrees. So that would tell me the angle opposite of that is 109 degrees, and that's angle C. Okay. 29 is pretty straightforward. Opposite sides are congruent. So we just want to take this and this. Those have to be equal to each other. So you set those equal to each other. And then we would solve that equation. That's pretty simple. 30 in a parallelogram EFG. If EI is 9x minus a1 and IG is 7x plus 15, find EG. So what these are called when we in a parallelogram, any quadrilateral really, when we do these here, these are called our diagonals. When we connect one angle to an opposite angle, those are diagonals. In a parallelogram, diagonals bisect each other. So what that tells us is this 9x minus a 1 has to be equivalent to the 7x plus a 15. If we're getting bisected, that means we have two equal lengths. So these lengths have to be set equal to each other. All right. And then we can solve that. Just answer the question. Make sure you're finding length EG. All right. Actually, let's finish that. So we subtract 7x. So 2x minus a 1 equals 15. 2x then, if you add your 1 over, equals 16. X equals 8. Notice we're not looking for just x. We want EG. EG is this whole length. So if we can find one of them, so let's do this one here. 9 times 8 minus a 1 is 72 minus a 1, which is 71. So if this is then 71, this must also be 71. Add those up to get the entire length, and we get 142. Last but not least, in a parallelogram, angle A is 45 degrees, so that's this. Find the measure of angle B. So in a parallelogram, opposite angles are congruent, so this angle would be 55 if we were looking for that angle, but those are opposite angles. What we are looking for is this angle and then this angle. So what these are consecutive angles is what we would call them. You can also think like here's our parallel line. Since this is a parallelogram, here's a parallel line. This would then act as our transversal. What we are looking at is same side interior angles. So however you want to do it, if we just want to know the property that consecutive angles in a parallelogram, so 55 and I'll call this X, those are supplementary. Or think of those as same side interior, and same side interior angles we would also say are supplementary. So that either way means we need to add those up, set them equal to 180 degrees, solve that for X, and then you should be good. All right, so that's pretty much most of what we did on Module 5. Quick little review here. If you finish this off, go ahead and submit it. Give you a little extra credit, and also help you get ready to take that little test next week. All right, with that, I'll wish you a good day. Hope everybody is well.